Greetings, Commanders. I am Dimebot, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous and my beginner's tutorial series for, well, how to get started in the game. Today, we're going to be covering exploration. So, going to be doing this in two parts. Going to be talking about the ships and equipment that you need, and then we're going to talk about how do you actually go about exploration gameplay. So, you'll see that I'm parked at Jameson Memorial. Now, as I have explained in the past, I'm simply here because this station offers all of the various parts that I could want, so I don't have to run around all over the place when I'm trying to make one of these videos. If you guys are looking for parts that are featured or shown in this video or that you need for your exploration ship, either come to Jameson in Shinratra Desert if you have access to it, or use Inara to help you find the parts you need. I will link Inara in the description down below. Now, let's go ahead and talk about exploration. Well, obviously, the game has quite the map for us to explore. Just to refresh everybody's memory. Here is the galaxy map. Let's go ahead and set it to realistic. And zoom on out. There you go. There's a lot out there to see. We have, according to FDev, not seen very much of it at all. So there is still tons and tons of opportunities out there for you guys to explore. Now, to do that, you're going to want a ship that can go out into space, into deep space, and survive and be self-sufficient and have all of the tools and kit that you need to make the most profit out of your trip when you get home. So, there's a couple things that we want in an exploration ship. We want a long jump range. If you don't remember where to check here, the easy way is to go over to your ship stats. Right here in this panel, you'll see that this particular asp can jump 57 light years unladen. The other things that you're going to want is you're going to want some things that will help you stay self-sufficient. You see that I have an auto field maintenance unit. This is to repair my ship if something goes horribly wrong. Planetary vehicle hangar. This is so I can drive around on the surface of planets. Fuel scoop so that we can refuel ourselves. This ship does have a couple of beam lasers. Those are not necessarily needed, but in exploration before, when Guardian stuff was still being discovered, there was times when I needed them. You're going to need your detailed surface scanner. And you'll want a discovery scanner. Those are kind of the basics. Now, some people will run without the field maintenance unit. I don't consider that to be a particularly good idea. You want to be able to repair your ship, but if you're super careful, I guess you can get away with it. Some people don't take a planetary vehicle hangar, and that's if you want to ride around on planets or not. That is up to you. You are absolutely going to need a fuel scoop. There is no way around that. And if you really want to make any credits, you're going to want a detailed surface scanner. Now, you're also going to want a ship that's fit for exploration. Now, I have transferred my favorite exploration ships here. A lot of people will tell you that any ship can be an exploration ship, and yeah, technically they are right. If you want to have a lot of jumps, then you can absolutely take something like a Clipper or something out there. Not to say you can't get a good jump range out of a Clipper or a Python Mark II or something, but you can get better jump range out of certain ships. And we're going to take a look at some of those now. Now, obviously, the Asp Explorer and the Anaconda, the Jump Conda as it was known, are two of the go-tos for exploration. The Cobra Mark V here, you can also get a pretty good bit of jumping out of. You'll see that it is sitting at 23 light years without me having really done anything to this frame shift drive. The Diamondback 17, this is an exploration ship. You can get it to go a pretty good ways. This Mandalay right here, 60.70 light years. The Crate Phantom also can be made into a pretty good exploration ship, and so can the Anaconda. Ignore the Corvette, that's what I flew here, and it has a horrible jump range. Now, how do we go about getting these jump ranges? Well, that's where there are a couple ways to do it. Now, I am not going to talk a whole lot about engineering, except to note that you can use it to increase the range in your jump drive, and you can also use it to decrease the weight of modules. And weight is going to be a common theme here. Because your frame shift drive can go further with the less mass it has to push, we're going to be talking a lot about making your ship lighter. So there are several ways that we can do that, and we are going to jump into the Mandalay and then jump into outfitting and take a look at that. So here we are in outfitting. So One of the biggest ways that I could immediately make a little bit of improvement to this jump range on this ship, and you'll see right there my max jump range is, we can start taking weapons off this ship. You might not think about it, but every single one of these guns weighs multiple tons. That is 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. That's 20 tons worth of weapons that we could take off of this ship. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it will make a difference. Another thing you can do is your core internals. Let's take a look here, for example. If we were to take these thrusters and we were to knock them down to, say, a 5B. Oh, look, 5B is heavier than 5A, so that doesn't actually help us any. However, if we start to get down to like 5D, then you'll see that we gain several light years there. If we went to 4B or 4A, 4C, 4D, for example. Let's go roll on down and see what would happen if we put some... In theory, if we were able to put these thrusters on this ship, you can see we're getting up into the 70s. Now, the game won't let us do that with some of them. It'll let you put lower class thrusters in anywhere you want to, but not higher, as you know from just basic outfitting. However, guys, I want to caution you against underpowering your thrusters too much. Yes, there's a lot to be said for having them be engineered to be lighter. There's a lot to be said for maybe underclassing them a little bit. But don't do it too much, because what's going to happen is you're going to be exploring, you're going to go to land, and it's going to be a high-gravity world, and because your thrusters are just barely able to move your ship, suddenly you're flying a brick, and the ground hurts, and then all of your exploration data is gone. So, a lot of people are big advocates of underclassing your thrusters, and within reason, yeah, it's a good idea, but don't take it too far, or you're going to be in trouble. Now, the other things that you can do is you can just basically underclass all your other modules. You could take this power plant here. Now, we're not going to be needing to run a ton of stuff while we're out there, so I could theoretically step this power plant down some and gain some light years on my jump. However, you need to take a look at your power users down here and set priorities, or make sure that you get rid of some of these modules. Let's also take a look at optional. I want to note that you can do the same thing I was just talking about with your power distributor, with your sensors, with your armor. You can take, you cannot take armor completely off a ship, but you are able to at least reduce some of the tonnage. And your fuel tanks, of course. Now, fuel tanks, not something I tend to worry about too much, but they are going to make a big impact on your jump range. I don't carry extras. I typically just stick with what comes on the ship. Over to optionals. Shield generators. When I take this ship out to actually explore, one thing I probably will do is I probably will put a much lighter shield generator in it. You're not really using your shield generator for anything except like shielding yourself from impacts while you're out there. So you can see I could easily get this ship over 70 light years, and without sacrificing too much. A 5D shield generator, that would get me a good bit more jump range. You don't need super strong shields. You're not going out into combat. I simply have been using the ship in the bubble, so. Guardian Frame Shift Drive Booster. This is a thing that you want. It increases the jump range of this ship by 10.5 light years. Now, that is a whole other tutorial. I will make that one for you if you guys want, or I can link a post on the video on how to get it, but yes. Guardian Frame Shift Drive Booster is pretty much a go-to need for exploration. Your fuel scoop. This, obviously, is how you refuel. The bigger the fuel scoop, the quicker you're going to refuel. You can see the scoop rates over here. So, you're going to spend more time hanging around a star with this thing. And honestly, fuel scoops don't really, as you can see there, have any appreciable effect on your jump range, so I tend to just take the biggest one that I can power so that I can just fly by and be done with it. Now, all these cargo racks, this is something that you could get rid of if I were to just, let's say, store the module. This would leave me room for other things, but as you see, again, no real not a huge change to my jump range. I would go without cargo unless you want to keep some repair limpets with you. And your planetary vehicle hangar. Now, planetary vehicle hangars do actually have a decent amount of weight to them. So you can see I'm up to 68 light years. Let's go ahead and put that back on before I forget about it. And there are a variety of different sizes of them. Let's click back into that. And as you can see right here, you can get some pretty big boys for bigger ships. They can hold multiple vehicles. Or you can just stick with the little ones, which is what I tend to do on a ship like this. Now, surface scanners. We talked about surface scanners. You want a detailed surface scanner. This is so that you can probe planets and get the full data that you want to out of them, bring back some extra money. So this is pretty much a must-have, is a detailed surface scanner. So that's kind of the basics of outfitting. There's only so much I can do to help you with it in a video like this, but you are looking at this number down here, your jump min, current, and max. You want that to be pretty much as high as you can get for exploration, and you're going to accomplish that by minimizing your weight. Here's a classic example of something that can go, is this operations control limpet. I won't take that with me when I go exploring. So strip your ship down to just what you need for exploration and keeping yourself alive. And that should be, you know, what you need to actually go out there and survive in the black. So just wait. But make sure your ship stays operational. Too often I see people that say, oh, this is an incredible exploration build. If you look at the ship, it can jump real far, but it can't do anything when it gets there because its thrusters are too weak to survive landing on anything but a 0.1 G planet. And it has nothing that it can use to survey a surface with, maybe just a detailed surface scanner, no way to drive around, no way to do, you know, anything else. So make sure that you have a ship that is balanced for what you want, that it can go places and do things. Because if you get there and you can't do anything, what's the point? Alright guys, now that we have talked about what you need on your ship for exploring, it's time to actually go and do some exploring and show you how that works. Now I've gone ahead and jumped a few hundred light years away from the bubble when we are here in the system, and we'll talk about how this works in just a second, but first let's talk about getting away from the bubble. So you want to get away from civilization. You'll see here I've got a route plotted out. Fuel star right there, there's my destination. So a lot of people will tell you to jump a few thousand light years up from the plane, a few thousand light years down from the plane, meaning the galactic plane right here. I really can't tell you one way or another what to do. What I do, honestly, these days is I just kind of pick something that I see on the map that might be interesting, and I kind of head in that direction. Regardless, what you want to do is you do want to get away from a civilization. Now, there are all the nebula out there that you can aim for. Don't worry too much about trying to head for, quote, undiscovered space. We've only discovered 0.06% of this game. There is plenty of undiscovered space out there. You just want to get away from the bubble and start heading in a general direction. There is something called the Road to Riches that you can follow. You can look that up on Reddit. But just get away from the human inhabited space. Go whatever direction speaks to you, I guess. I can't give you any more concrete direction than that because there's really no right or wrong way. Just head out into deep space. Now, once we get there, there's a few things we want to do, and we're going to break this down. There is scanning the system, there is scanning the planets, and then there is mapping the planets, and then there's exobiology. So, scanning the system, you're going to commonly hear that referred to or see it written down as honking. That's my D scanner over there on the right. I'm going to go ahead and charge it up, and you will hear the honk. And what that will do is that will scan the system for us. That tells me that we have the orbital plane established and that we have 18 bodies in this system. Now up in the right, the game is telling me to enter FSS mode to analyze results. That's exactly what we want to do. So the first step of exploration is dead simple. This is the most basic data. You just got it from honking the system. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into FSS. Now for those of you that ask about keybinds, my keybinds are different. Everybody's are different because of different HOTAS, mouse, keyboard steps, but if I'm correct, the default binding for this is apostrophe. Now, I cannot help you with controls for FSS because I use an Xbox controller because I find it to be just easy. What you have here is a spectrum. You'll see me moving the cursor along it right now from low to high. If you look at the analysis in the bottom right, it'll tell you that where I am right now is transient signal sources. This is going to be your USS and stuff. This one is asteroid clusters, and as you move up, it becomes different types of worlds. In here you have Earth-like worlds. Those are very valuable to scan. Ammonia worlds, water worlds, gas giants. Gas giants have several types, so they take up the top end of the spectrum. You also have high metal content worlds. Those can be valuable to scan. So what we want to do is just kind of ignore the asteroid clusters and stuff like that. What I'm looking for is the others. And as we move around, you'll see those arrows kind of moving, telling me where things are. And I can change the filter. What we want to do is kind of try to match up with what this is. This is going to be a signal source. So right here, we should have another type of planet. There we go. This should be a high metal content world. Once you zoom in, it will give you all the information. You'll see this was first discovered by Bancor, first mapped by Hyperion NZ. So we could map these worlds if we wanted to and still get some pay for it, but we're not going to get the big plus 50% first discovered, the big plus 50% mapped bonus. I am still going to show you how this works, though. So what you want to do is you want to just keep on scanning. That's another high metal content. This one is looking like a signal source. Yep. And you just want to follow the plane around. Now what we see here, we zoom on in, and sometimes it goes multiple layers deep and gets a little crazy looking. Just need to keep following it down as far as it goes so that you can then isolate and start scanning signals. So these are all asteroid belt clusters right here. But we do have a couple other things in here, so you just kind of have to follow the rabbit hole on down. This is another rocky body. You notice that we're only at 6 out of 18. You will get these systems like this, especially around gas giants that have a lot of stuff around them, and you just need to keep on kind of scanning. We're here in the mid-level again. There's another high metal content world. Another high metal content. And this would have been quite a lucrative system for the person that first discovered it. And an icy body. So as you can, it can go pretty quick once you get the hang of it. I would recommend just kind of getting the hang of listening, seeing what items are where on the bands. You'll get an idea when you get into a system. If you look at the system map once you've honked, you'll be able to tell kind of what's out there and what you're looking for. But these days I don't even tend to look. I just go ahead and scan. There's 15. Like I said, you'll note that there are oftentimes a lot of these other signals. You will end up scanning them by accident. Sometimes you don't really need to worry about it. They're not going to mess you up or anything. There's another rocky body. And we are looking for one more, and there it is. And once you're done, the computer will helpfully tell you, system scan is complete. Now, you'll notice up top that this is where you can get some good information. This is telling us about the resources on the planet, the different minerals that are there. This is good for gathering things for engineering materials or for mining various things. So if you want to synthesize some things like reloads. So that is the second step. That is how you go about scanning the planets. So, if we go over to our system map now, we now know what every single one of these planets is. Now, you note that if you look for composition, we have all that information already, but if we look for organic, we don't have anything. Now, how do we get that info? Well, we fly on up to a planet. So let's go ahead and take this one right here, and let's head on over. It is only 84.3 light seconds. Not a big deal. Sometimes you'll get them. They're several thousand light seconds away, as we have in this system. Not a big deal if you have a SCO drive. So if you have one, this is pretty quick. If you don't, that's not that far of a flight. It depends on how invested and how detailed you want to get. So you'll notice that on my left hand HUD, right next to heatsink, I have a surface scanner. Right now it's telling us we are out of range. Once we get closer, it'll probably say that we're going too fast. There are multiple ways to do surface scans. I have a particular way I like to do it. Some people like to get a little closer than I do. Some people like to stand off much further than I do. You will have to get the hang of it yourself, find what feels more comfortable to you, but the basic technique will be the same. So we'll go ahead and go over that as we pull up to the planet. What you're going to want to do is you're going to be firing probes from another view at the planet, trying to make sure that they cover enough of the planet to complete your scan. You don't have to 100% it. Once you hit 90%, it'll finish. So you see there that we just transitioned to too fast. Now, some people would stop right here and scan the planet. One thing I can't stress enough, throttle back before you enter the other menu. So this should be good for me. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the surface scanner. Now, I have 3 probes. You can have more or less depending on your surface scanner, engineering, everything. You'll see in the right side of the menu, we have infinite probes. The efficiency target is 4. If you complete the scan in that amount of time, I believe you do get a bonus. Now, I usually start off by firing a probe straight towards the middle. And we will wait for that to hit. Well, so that covered a good 47% for us. Now, you'll notice as I move the line that this dotted line appears. You could basically think of this as a horizon line. If you aim past this, it's kind of like you're bending a shot in pool. You will hit the back of the planet because it will arc on around through gravity. However, if you go too far, it will say miss. This probe, if I fired it, would go off into the middle of nowhere. It would not affect my efficiency target because it would not impact, but it would not do anything. So we're going to go ahead and fire that. Now, you will have a control that will allow you to switch your view and see the backside of the planet. And that is what that looks like right there. We'll watch that as that probe goes on around.
Surface scanned by 50%.
You'll see there, that's about how much of that it got. Now, I'm going to have to hit that. You can either try to aim from here, or you can fly on around, up to you. We'll go ahead and see what this gets us.
Surface scan complete.
And there we go. This planet is scanned. It is done. We can go ahead and back out. Now, if you were to take this info and turn it in, you would still get a decent amount of money for it, but you will not get the bonuses that you get from First Discovered or First Map because it has already been discovered or mapped. And that actually brings me back to something that I wanted to talk about. And that is First Footfall. We're going to land real quick and talk about First Footfall. Because First Footfall is not actually going to give you a payout bonus just for doing it like a lot of people think it is. What's going to happen is if you do exobiology and you are the first to discover something and sell that data, then you get the bonus. And First Footfall is generally a good way to know that you're the first person that's going to be scanning those plants, bacteria, brain trees, whatever it might be in the planet. So don't expect first footfall to actually give you a monetary bonus. It will give you a tag saying that it was first footfall, which in itself can be pretty cool. And as I thought, nobody has ever actually gotten out of their ship on this planet, so there we go. There's a first footfall confirmed. As I said, guys, that's not going to guarantee us any money. All that's going to do is tag us as the first footfall. Now, there's one more thing to take a look at, and that is exobiology. So, that is actually a little bit more complicated than it sounds. It is going to be its own video. But just know, for the purposes of what we're looking at now, when we scan a planet, if there is biological activity on it or geological activity, it will show up when you finish that planetary scan. And it will tell you that there are certain, how many signs there are. So that will be coming very, very soon. We have covered a lot today. Just remember, guys, when you're going exploring, you get into a system, you honk it, then you go into your FSS to actually scan the plants, and then you choose the ones you want to scan, and you go do a detailed surface scan on them. It can take quite a while to do some larger systems, but if you were the first one to discover everything in the system, and you come back with complete map data, then it can absolutely be worth it. So, we will get to exobiology in our next tutorial. If you guys have any questions about exploring or some of the other tutorial videos, please leave them in the comments below. If you have something you would like to see me make a tutorial for you on, then leave that in the comments below. Like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out. And if you're here to the end, thank you. Watch time is huge on YouTube. My name is Dimebot, and I will see you, Commanders, next time.